You're listening to the Joe and Rosa Show, proclaiming the gospel through word and through song.
Hi, and welcome to the Joe and Rosa Show. I'm Joe.
And I'm Rosa.
We have our baby Ruby with us, and we're today doing an interview with Rebekah Perryman of laneofroses.com. How you doing, Rebekah?
I'm great. How are you all?
We are doing just fine. Thank you for joining us today in your studio. And as Joe said, that you are with laneofroses.com. Could you tell us maybe a little bit about the ministry that you have going on there?
Absolutely. So Lane of Roses is a ministry for millennial women, and we use it to encourage millennial women to find their God-given potential. Katie and I really just think every woman should know that their identity is in Christ and that they have been given God-given potential to do great things, and God has a huge plan for them, and we just want to encourage those women to follow that plan. So it's kind of what Lane of Roses is all about. There's a lot of little pieces that go into it, but that's the main vision.
So if you wouldn't mind telling our listeners about this, I know that you share this on Lane of Roses, but that you had a very intense personal battle with anorexia. Would you mind telling us your testimony about that?
Sure. When I was about 15, 16 years old, I started a path that I didn't realize what I was doing when I did it. But I was a cheerleader, and I was a flyer, and I knew I was starting to get taller, and I knew that I had to be small to continue to fly. So I thought, well, I'll just be the smallest on the team, no big deal. I'll go on a diet, lose a little bit of weight. Of course, at the time, I weighed like 105 pounds. I was still very small. And I just went on a diet, lost 5 pounds really easily, and just continued down that path. So eventually, I was only eating probably 400 calories a day, and then I would just go and work those calories off. So I did that for probably 2 years. Nobody really knew what was going on, and if they did know, they were kind of afraid to say anything. It wasn't in my character to really do something, I guess, rebellious. I was very much a good girl and did what I was told and never rocked the boat. I was the youngest in my family, and both of my siblings were out of the house at the time, so they didn't notice, and my parents are really busy with their jobs, and I love my parents, but they didn't notice either. And so I was able to continue down this path to a point where I weighed about 85 pounds. And then people did start to notice and start saying things. But I was so far gone at that point and so obsessed that I couldn't hear anything that anyone was telling me. I just wanted to continue down this. This is something I could control, and it had nothing to do with anybody else. It just had to do with me. And so I didn't want someone to take that away from me.
Right.
But one time I went to the doctor, and my doctor had anorexia, and I had gotten really sick. And I tried to avoid the doctor as much as possible, but I had to go as I had the flu, and she figured out that I was suffering from anorexia, and she said, "You can tell your mom, or I can't." So I told my mom, and that was a really hard conversation. And as a family, we decided to not really do anything, which was really hard for me. So I just started trying to fix it on my own, which was very challenging. But I knew if I just pursued God, that He would be there for me and He would help me. And so I did, but I just kept falling over and over and over again, and just failing. And there was nights where I would just cry myself to sleep because I was so obsessed with what I was doing, and I knew it was wrong. And I knew that the devil was attacking me, but I just couldn't stop doing it. I wanted to do it more than I wanted a relationship with God. And it was definitely hindering my relationship with Christ. I felt like God was telling me to join a sorority. And I had no idea why. In my senior year, I had been just really struggling with trying to heal from my eating disorder, but it really couldn't. I would starve myself one week and then try to eat the next week, and it was just a mess, a roller coaster of emotions. And so I'd been praying for college, just hoping that would be a new start. And I felt like God was saying, "I want you to join a sorority." I was like, "No, that's not me. I don't want to do that." And I just felt like that's what God wanted me to do. And so I decided to go through recruitment, and I joined a sorority. And I always tell people that I found believers in the least likely of places. And those girls showed me Jesus. They showed me what his love looked like. They prayed for me. They prayed with me. And they walked with me while I healed. And it was amazing. One night in my dorm, was just really struggling with the emotions that come along with anorexia. And I just cried out to God, and I said, God, I can't do this anymore. It has to be you. I'm giving this to you because I don't know what else to do. And I gave it to God, and it was like a switch went off. And the next morning, he became so much more important to me than my eating disorder. Wow. And through that process, I started healing and taking steps towards healing. And I went to a counselor and got some really good help for the emotional side of things. I never went to rehab. And I encourage girls, like, if they do have an eating disorder, that is a good thing to do. We just didn't do that. That's not my story. And it is truly a miracle that I'm okay. That's what I tell people. I wouldn't be okay if it wasn't for God intervening in my life and helping me to see that he was going to save me. I couldn't save myself, and I was trying to.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't going to be a human effort. It was going to have to be God intervening in my life. And he gave me women that walked with me, so I didn't have to do it alone. And it's truly just such an amazing story. And friends that I still have to this day that have just loved me through so much, and it's been there for every step of the process. And now I can say that was something that happened to me. That was a part of my past that I no longer struggle with an eating disorder or any of the effects of it, really, which is truly a miracle, because my doctor told me that, people suffer their whole lives with the emotional side of an eating disorder. And I was like, that is not going to be me. I am not going to struggle with this my whole life. I can't. And that's really, when I decided, I have got to do something about this. This can't be my life any longer. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Wow, that is an amazing testimony. I would ask you this, if there's anybody who's listening that, and sometimes it's trivialized, people will just say, well, why don't you just eat something? Just eat a cheeseburger. But it's a type of bondage. It's not that easy. And you said God's the one who pulled you out. And so if there's somebody who's listening right now and they are struggling with this, perhaps in secret, maybe it's obvious, maybe the world knows, what would you speak to that person's life right now?
I would tell them that they are loved more than they know, and that they are beautiful. And I would ask them just to start praying that God would help them see what they can't see. And that's what I prayed for years. God, help me see what you see in me. Help me to want to get better, because I didn't want to. And those are the prayers that I prayed out of discipline every day, because I knew that those were the things that would change my life. They would change my story. So that's what I would tell those girls.
Wow, that is
receiving a relationship with Christ is the most important thing that they can do, and it will change the course of their life.
Well, Rebekah, let me ask you, what kind of resources are there for people who are struggling with anorexia?
There's counseling, which is what I did, and I did just basic Christian counseling. It wasn't basic, I guess, but I also know there's rehab centers. I personally didn't do that, so I don't know a lot about that. I read a book that really helped me by Lisa Turkhurst called Made to Crave.
Made to Crave.
It's actually more for people who are on the other side of an eating disorder where they are eating too much. Mm-hmm. But it really helped me just learn how not to obsess with food, because even when you're not eating, you're obsessed, and you have to face food 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And so her book really helped me overcome some of those issues, just the emotions that go along with it, and helped me learn, just the prayers that I needed to pray and different things like that. So those are, I know, some resources out there. But my story is unique to where I got some counseling, and I had some really great friends. But I do encourage people, too, if they're struggling with it, just tell somebody, because people will help you. I thought I was so alone, and I wasn't alone. I wasn't supposed to do it by myself, and I was trying to.
Wow, that is an amazing story. And can you tell our listeners, in closing here, where they can find you on the internet and see more about your testimony and find the resources that you were speaking of?
Of course. If they go to laneofroses.com, My story is posted there, and we have resources there for people who are struggling with any kind of eating disorder that can be found on our website. We have links that they can go to. And you can go to my Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram. Direct message me. I'm always happy to talk to somebody who's struggling with this. It's nice to have someone to talk to that understands.
Oh, yes,
what
to have support.
Through.
That is amazing. So this is Rebekah Perryman of Lane of Roses that was speaking with us today. And again, you can find her at laneofroses.com. I thank you so much, Rebekah, for sharing what God has done in your life, sharing your testimony with all of us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you all have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks for listening, and you can find us on lifeinsidethehouseontherock.com.
Give me to drink from the well of living waters. My soul is thirsting for its waters clear and pure. Give me to drink from the well of living waters. Give me to drink that I may thirst no more. The world today gives many things, none will satisfy. Clothes and cars and jewels and rings, buildings to the sky. All these vain and empty things, many souls can lure. My soul is longing for the one thing that is sure. Give me to drink from the well of living waters. My soul is thirsting for its waters clear and pure. Give me to drink from the well of living waters. Give me to drink that I may thirst no more. Position, power, prominence, many hearts desire. Many seek a lofty name, so others will adore. Things made of wood and hay do not really matter. What my blessed Savior gives lasts and is for sure. Give me to drink from the well of living waters. My soul is thirsting for its waters clear and pure. Give me to drink from the well of living waters. Give me to drink that I may thirst no more. Shiny things that glitter bright can never satisfy me. Only God and His dear Son can fill my heart so full. Worldly lust will one day rust, fade and pass away. From living waters I will drink until my dying